This 2026 Denver Broncos team preview of the Steffi Small Show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the SGPN app. Get all of our picks and podcasts with the free SGPN app. Get your questions in for next week's Ask Smalls Anything episode now. Speakpipe.com/Steffi Smalls for your chance to ask me anything. Let's yap Broncos.
Steffi tugs balls, betting it all on the power bottom false top drop the football. Like hopes they've been teasing, they're missing the fall season. ACL twisted, bank account freezing, but Smalls cut the shots like some more reason. Leaderboard rising while the slot machine's ringing. She's slinging players stats like Nostradamus. $100 bills raining down upon us.
It is time to talk about the Denver Broncos. To help me with that is guest Pete Nova. You know him, you love him. He's been on before of Roto Underworld. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I was getting a little nervous. I was waiting for you guys to reach out to me, and I didn't hear anything. And then Ryan sent me a message, and I was like, "All right, cool. Sounds like we're getting ready for the season." So I'm doing good though.
You just had to wait your turn because your win total is so high that everyone's like, when's this one coming out? When's this one coming out? I'm like, you know what, guys, we're still in the slums a bit. Like we're still talking about the Giants and the Commanders. Like, we're not quite there yet.
Well, the Giants are your team, so I'm sure you probably want to get that one done first. Maybe it would have been a little better to wait till they get a little bit more better news with neighbors and stuff like that. But I'm sure he'll be ready week one. So.
Yeah, it seems like it is trending that way. How is the summer treating you? How's preseason treating you?
It's good. I feels like I'm recording 2-3 times a day. So it's fun. August is usually the most busy time of the year, which sounds crazy. It's more busy than in season. In season is more free flowing. August is usually structured. We know what we're doing, and we're just coming out with a lot of content. So it's been good though. Working on my tan a little bit. I just spent about a week down at the shore. So
amazing.
Come back. Yeah. So
love it. Before we dive into the Broncos, because obviously that's why you were here, as you've done like the prep for the season, the fantasy prep, so be it. Is there anyone that you are surprised that you are higher on going into this new 2026 season?
is that a Broncos question or is that just an overall question?
Just a general one. I'm gonna pick your brain and catch you off guard here. Like, is there a player you find yourself drafting a lot of, or you're surprised that you are projecting to be better next year?
Jalen Coker for me.
Cool.
Coker reminds me of like a Bill kind of thing where it's like it felt trendy because it was like Coker had like the Coke heads was kind of like that trend.
Yeah.
Twitter was like a fun
fun
thing. Yeah, but he's I don't know. He had like 100% true catch rate last year. They don't really have competition. They just lost their high draft pick that they took at wide receiver in Chris Brazzell. And they really don't have much options. They just signed Darren Waller, your boy, the Giants, right?
I missed that one.
How long was he Waller was with the Giants, right? At one point. Was he?
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was very. It was not a long-lived thing.
It was quick, right? And then he
remember he got. It's funny. I was just thinking this because we're playing Dallas week one, but Waller like just abruptly was not playing going into week one, and I was like,
right.
All four.
right. Okay, yeah, but yeah, they just signed Darren Waller because like I just feels like they're that desperate. So I think he's like priced outside of the top 100. He's like 120. 130 area. And he feels like a guy that probably about 30-40 spots ahead of on his ADP right now. So
love it. I'm a little bit higher on the Panthers in general than most people are. So I will take any positive Panthers propaganda that I can find on this show. But let's talk about the Denver Broncos. We'll recap 2025 very briefly. 14-3, had a great season. You came on last year and I said, you got to convince me. Like I need to buy into the Broncos. I don't know why I can't. I feel a little bit differently going into this year, but number one, in the AFC here, lost in the championship to New England. Bo Nix, obviously this is the big thing. So Bo Nix ended the season in overtime with, what did it end up being? Did he break his foot? What was the injury?
Yeah, it was weird. He did like a sprint out, kind of like a quarterback sprint out where it was a designed run, and he went to cut up field and his ankle popped,
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I guess he's had like ankle issues since he was in college, so it wasn't anything new, but he played the rest of the game. And then it was funny. I was sitting there. I drank a lot that game because I
Yeah.
was celebrating during the game, kind of taking the edge off. And then I remember I was sitting on my back deck with a cigar. It was snowing, so my deck was covered in snow. And I had one of those, like, you ever see those like those winter caps that people wear, the real furry Russian ones where like you can kind of yeah. So I had one of those on because it was cold and I was celebrating. And then 20 minutes later, like I get texts from people saying, like, oh, what happened to Bo Nix? And I was like, what's going on? And I thought like it was a joke. And then, yeah, it was like a really nice high and then a really significant low. But it was fun while it lasted. So
Yeah, obviously, like, the defense is, like, the talking point of this
sure.
team. The defense is elite. It's going to continue to be the identity. Um, you tell me, like, talk to me about 2025. Just any notes, comments, concerns, questions, whatever you want about this
Yeah.
past season.
I mean, I know with the Broncos, a lot of people point to the close game wins for them. I think they had 11 one score game wins last season, and people are expecting some regression there. You look at just the defense and the team as a whole. I mean, they're really returning almost the entire unit here. They did lose one guy on the defensive line, John Franklin Myers, who
Yep.
went over to Tennessee with Robert Saleh. They had some ties there when he was with the Jets, but outside of that, I mean, it's really the same unit. Malcolm Roach is now going to be the starting left defensive end on the defense. He was there with Sean Payton. He was more of a rotational guy last year. They extended him, so it's really the same group of guys. Same secondary. They probably have the best. They arguably have the best secondary in football. They took Jahdae Barron in the first round last year, and he was
Yeah.
a backup. He's their fourth corner on the team, and he's a first rounder who just had a pick six against the Falcons, and he's still probably not going to be a starter this year. So they're really deep, and their defensive line is really deep too. They got guys like Jonah Ellis
Yep.
on the rotation who's not a starter. Jonathan Cooper is something to keep watch on. He had some domestic violence issues. I think he ate there was some, I don't know if you saw the Jonathan Cooper thing, but like there was some domestic violence stuff with him and his girlfriend, I think. And then it led to him like eating her cell phone or something like that. Like,
Oh, that was him. Okay, yeah. Sometimes
yeah,
I swear I really do try to, like, not, like, look into all of it too much,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that was definitely, like, one of the more bizarre headlines that we've seen in a while.
yeah. It was strange, but his court hearings coming up here soon. So
How do you even do that? So now I'm, like, thinking logistically, how are we doing that, I guess?
how is he eating the phone or how is he
Yeah.
going to
No, yeah, how is he eating the phone?
I don't know. I mean, I gotta imagine it was something to the effect of like she had something on it. I don't
Yeah,
know. It's such a touchy subject to talk about, like
it really is.
realm and that
Yeah,
area without joking around. But the phone
sure.
thing seems kind of
Definitely
funny.
a
It's
little
hard
bizarre.
not to think that part's not a little funny, but everything else is obviously unfortunate. We'll see what happens, but he could
Sure.
get suspended, so that's obviously notable. And then for the offense, I mean, it's the same offense. Offensive line is the same exact unit they had
Which is
last year.
huge.
Yeah,
People
top
don't realize how big of a deal that is.
yeah, I mean, the trenches for them, they're bringing back pretty much the same defensive front, same offensive front, and then they add Jaylen Waddle, who I saw you're not very high on. I think I saw you tweet about you're not really the biggest fan of
We're gonna
Waddle.
get into it.
Uh,
We're gonna
so
get
we'll
into it.
yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. I think it's funny as we get to these teams that have the higher win totals, there's less to talk about. We know that they ranked top of the league. Like you name the metric, the Broncos are there. Um you addressed a lot of the additions and losses. You basically did a lot of the job for me here. O-line returns, that's the big thing. So additions, the big thing is Waddle. We'll get right into it. We're betting on talent here, right? Like when it comes to fantasy, that's what it's going to be because where I am nervous is the injury thing, and I'm not someone to do that. But then you also have Waddle, who we know what he is. He gets a massive upgrade here in coach, quarterback. Like, just talk to me about Waddle. I'm just gonna let you do it.
Yeah, I mean, Waddle is you could argue this is the best situation he's ever been in, right? Best coach. I mean, McDaniels had that run for a little bit there, but Peyton is definitely a better coach. Best quarterback he's ever played with. Tua, even at Tua's peak of whatever it was, I don't think really matches what Knicks did last year. And then just overall, just environment, right? I mean, this is just a much better team. And the notable thing about Jaylen Waddle is when he was in Miami, he was forced to kind of play the outside receiver role, which is usually typically a bigger guy. He's not really a big guy. Jaylen Waddle is not even 200 pounds. So he's really more of that move guy, a guy that's really in that Z dagger kind of role where you're
Sure.
moving and motioning the guy and he plays off ball. So the off ball position allows him to not defenders to not get hands on him and get pressed. And it's a smaller guy, it's harder when you're getting a guy that's physical on the line of scrimmage with you. And so Waddle had to face that because when he was in Miami, Tyreek Hill was his running mate. And while that's a blessing, it was also a curse a little for Waddle because he had to kind of play more of that bigger wide receiver role because Tyreek is a smaller guy and was really
Sure.
the motion guy and the big move guy. So he's going to be able to move into a role in this offense that allows him and doesn't force him to play that role because Sutton's going to draw a ton of attention in that regard too. And this is a perfect scheme for him, right? Sean Payton, the one thing Sean Payton does really, really well is he gets the ball in his playmakers' hands in space and allows them to make plays. That's why Bo Nix gets ragged on because he kind of is that check down guy and people make jokes and stuff because he's not completing a ton of passes downfield and he gets knocked for it. But that's just part of the scheme with Payton. He's just very, very good at just to get having his quarterback facilitate and be like a point guard and just let the playmakers make plays. And so Waddle's going to be in a situation where he's going to get the opportunity to make plays. It's just a matter of, like you said, can he stay healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. Is this to you a 1A, 1B type situation here?
I think if Waddle stays healthy, I don't see it happening that way.
Okay.
But I also think Sutton's a really, really nice value. I have drafted him a lot lately in fantasy just because he was a top 15 player in fantasy last year and he's going pick 70 to 80 right now. You're
Right.
getting a really nice discount on him and Waddle should help him. But Waddle's not going to hurt him and I don't think he's going to hurt Waddle. Sutton was never a major volume guy. He was a big body player. You saw it in the preseason. I don't know if you saw him
Yeah.
catch the one-handed catch
Yeah.
for Sutton, but I don't think they hurt each other. So, I'm interested in Sutton as well.
Yeah, I like where he's going. I find myself tapping him quite a bit. And I think probably just me, just like the echo chamber, like people that are not, even though it does seem like everyone's back in on Waddle fully.
Yeah.
I think it's just the injury concern where you look at guys that are kind of going around like where he is. And I'm like, I don't know. I should invest a little bit more. Running back room drafted. Who'd they bring in? Jonah Coleman. Is that who it was?
Yeah, it was Jonah
Um,
Coleman.
Yeah. How does this play out here? Harvey, Dobbins, like what are we thinking?
Yeah, I mean, Coleman looked really good in the Falcons game. Sean Payton pretty much sometimes we have to, people don't feed into coach speak too much, but roster moves and what coaches do, tells us a lot. Coleman came in and he had like 4 touches and they removed him really quickly, right? He didn't continue to play. Harvey
Mhm.
looked good too. He was out there. Dobbins didn't suit up. But I think they pretty much told you that they like Coleman and they saw everything they needed to see. And when Peyton was asked about it in the press conference this week, he said, I saw it with him in the game, everything I've seen in camp, and it looks like a player that's ready to play. So as for how I see it shaking out, I'm not really worried about RJ Harvey. His role is going to be what his role is. It's going to be a guy that's going to catch, 4 passes a game, right?
Yeah.
He's going to get a couple rushes here and there, maybe 5, 6 a game, but it's going to mainly be he can score touchdowns and he's going to get a lot of passes in the pass game. It's going to really be with Dobbins and Coleman, them kind of eating into each other because I do think Coleman is going to be more of a factor than people want if you are drafting Dobbins. And so it just becomes a real big mess here. I don't find myself drafting Dobbins in best ball. I'll draft Coleman
Okay.
here and there, but I don't really want to roster Coleman and redraft either because he's probably just going to sit there and not be anything unless Dobbins gets
Okay.
hurt, which he's got a history of that too. So I really only find myself drafting Harvey, to be completely honest with you.
Okay. I think the other addition that I want to know before we start looking at some of the betting lines here, Davis Webb obviously is like another exciting thing, promoted to offensive coordinator. Sounds like Payton is handing over play calling entirely. I actually very much love this move here, like coming from within the organization already. This should make the offense more aggressive, I think. I think last year they only ranked 14th in scoring, regardless of winning the 14 games. Like, this should really open things up, and bringing in Waddle, it just seems like a perfect pairing for it all.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you're a Davis Webb fan. I mean, he is an ex-Giant. So but no, I think the addition of Webb will be nice. Payton, I don't think Payton has lost a step as just an offensive mind or as just a head coach in general, but he admitted himself. He said, "I'm not the same play caller today as I was 20 years ago." Right? Like, the problem with Payton and a lot of the disjointed stuff with the offense last year was Payton getting in plays really slow. Payton it just felt disjointed with Payton calling, and the language for his play calls is very, very long. And so I think Davis Webb coming in will be really, really nice. He was getting looks for head coach this year. I think the Bills interviewed him, so he was clearly very, very highly sought after. And the fact that Webb stayed, I mean, think about it this way: Webb could have went and had a really good chance to go be a coach. He could have probably got that Cardinals job if he wanted it, right? He could have probably got a head coaching job this cycle, but he chose to stay with Denver. And if Denver sucks this year, right, he's taking a risk that maybe he doesn't get hired as a head coach next year, right? But he must believe in what they have, and he's pretty excited about it. So we'll see. Your boy Evan Ingram remained on the team, by the way, somehow. I think he's kind of sneaky too. I'm not going to draft him, but I'm going to have my eye on him the first few weeks because they kept him, and Davis Webb's now calling the plays, and so him and Ingram are boys from their time with the Giants. They actually say they're like best friends. So he was a big reason why Davis Webb was a big reason why Ingram signed there in the first place.
Yeah. Outside of Mr. Evan, who I will just say it right, I will not be drafting. I will not have any ownership on Evan Ingram. But again, like, that's just me. Also scarred from the drops. I'm good on the drops. I can't do it. Where are we at tight end room? Is there anyone else worth the late dart throw? Talk to me.
No, I mean, Justin Jolie, people are excited about. He's the rookie, but I think it's really just more of like, we're excited long term for Jolie to be there, but I don't really anticipate him being a factor this year. They still have Troutman. They have Lucas Kroll. They have a guy that they drafted, developmental tight end, that was in the 7th round last year. It's mistaking me right now. It's Caleb Lohner. They have Nate Atkins. They have a couple of guys. Do they have a ton of studs? No, but Jolie hasn't really done much in camp from what I've heard that makes me think, he's going to be a factor this year.
Okay, who are you labeling as sleeper then for this team, like fantasy wise?
I mean, Pat Bryant feels like he could be a sleeper, but that's really more of if Pat Bryant is a producer, it's one of two things. Either Denver's offense is top 5, and like you noted, Davis Webb really opened up the offense. Jaylen Waddle opened up, and they're just going full throttle. And Payton doesn't care that the defense is really good. They're going to just continue to rack up points, like a Dan Campbell situation with the Lions, even though their defense sucks. But just the point of that, they don't really care. They'll continue to put up points even if they're leading very high, very well. So that's the other one case. And then if Waddle goes down, that's the other case, right? He's pretty much the replacement for Sutton when Sutton's gone. Very similar skill set. And Pat Bryant's looked incredible so far in camp. So he's a guy that I'm stashing and could be a sleeper if he gets the opportunity.
Okay, before we get into these, biggest concern for your Denver Broncos going into 2026?
Yeah, I think for me, it is possible slight O-line regression. I don't think major step back, but the continuity is great, and I'm glad they're all back. But Luke Wattenberg, they gave him an extension. I wasn't really jazzed about it, but he's banged up. He's back in practice, but Bo Nix didn't play in the first preseason game because Denver was on their 4th string center because their 3 guys at center were injured. So they were just like, we're not going to put him out there in a preseason game behind a backup center. So that's where I have a little bit of concern on the interior between him and Ben Powers, some slight regression there. That's part of it. And then on the defense, I mean, really, if Jonathan Cooper gets suspended and the loss of John Franklin Myers, if Malcolm Roach doesn't step into those shoes and play well enough, they could regress there in the front 7 as well.
So there's no concern with the Bo Nix injury. Like, we're all set. We're ready to rock here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not worried. So there's 2 things. One, like, you worry maybe re-injury, which is possible. I mean, like, if he's had this issue his entire career, it sounds like there's always that, I'm not a doctor, but could it happen again? But as for his usage and how they'll play with him, I don't think that changes. I mean, there's been reports I've heard that he's running on it really well. He's running in 11 on 11s too, and there's no concern or issue. So I'm not worried that he's going to change up his play style, but there's always going to be that in the back of our head of, shit, could it happen again? So that'll really never go away.
Before we look at the betting lines, the greatest NFL handicapping contest is back and better than ever with 30 million in prizes, 20 million for Circa Survivor, 6 million for Circa Million, and 4 million for Grandissimo. Sign up in Nevada and play from anywhere. Circa Sportsbook now takes Bitcoin. Head to footballcontest.com and use promo code SGPN to get $50 off your proxy fees, and you get 15% off your stay at Circa with promo code SGP15 for contest weekend. All right, let's do it. The market is displaying that they're like maybe a little bit skeptical of the success that we saw. I think part of that probably comes from they do have a tough schedule that's going to come with winning the games that you won. They have a brutal start to the season. You go at Chiefs, Jags, Rams, at 49ers, at Chargers, Seahawks. Win total sitting at 9.5. The over is -126 over on Profit X. Under is +112. To make the playoffs, they're sitting around -140. Miss the playoffs, +118. AFC to win the AFC West, +225. AFC Championship 10-1 and Super Bowl 18-1. What jumps out to you right away when I read those off to you?
Them to make the playoffs. Did you mention their line for them to make the playoffs? I might have missed that.
-140.
Yeah, I would take that pretty comfortably. I mean, that feels like the easiest one for me. -140. I mean, this was the 1 seed from last year. We just talked about the roster's pretty much the same. They've, if anything, gotten better with adding Waddle. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's some murkiness. I look at like the other divisions, right? The Bengals and the Ravens are always a threat to bring 2 teams out of that division, and maybe the Steelers. So that's always a chance of like what the wild card looks like. And Chargers have a really, really banged up O-line already. Biotish, their center, just went down and got carted off. Slater, their tackle, has already had a setback in his, he had a ruptured patella tendon. And then, Alt is coming back from ankle surgery. So they've got some issues there too with the Chargers that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to, where everyone's very excited about Mike McDaniel. So, and then the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs didn't really add much to the offense outside of Kenneth Walker, who I'm high on this year. Their wide receivers still kind of stink. I mean, it's Rashee Rice, who I don't think is very good. And then Kelsey's going into another year, who I'm actually drafting a lot of Travis Kelce, goes at pick like 120. So I think Denver, you could take the division, but I think if I'm playing it safe, and it's probably the most confident I feel in all of their lines for season totals is them to make the playoffs feels pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you. And this is another situation where I find myself looking at the division price, and it's like, I almost would just rather go take like an alt win line or something else, because if they're winning this division, my assumption is they didn't take a massive step back, and we're seeing the Denver Broncos like totally gel with maybe the new pieces they add. Waddle staying healthy, and like 9.5 is certainly quite low for a team that looked fantastic last year with a defense that can absolutely be the identity and be elite again next year.
Yeah, it's a good point too. And 9.5 is like that. Like, I don't hate 9.5. I'm assuming the juice is on the over for that. What's the
Yeah.
what's the line at 9.5 on the is the
Yeah,
over?
minus 126 for the over there.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, like not a bad bet. But like you said, if I'm gonna go with the division, I'd rather just take the wins because, like you said, if Denver wins 10 games, there's they you could go with the division, but if you're confident that they're gonna maybe win the division again, I'd rather just take the over under. But overall, like I said, I really do like the just the odds for them to make the playoffs. The Super Bowl odds are interesting too. I mean, 20-1 for a team that was
They
the one
are.
seed last year. I would feel comfortable putting some on there, maybe not a full unit, but maybe like half a unit on something like that would be a really nice payout. I think their odds opened up this year worse than they opened up last year. Oh yeah, last year they opened up 12-1 to win the AFC, and then plus
Yeah.
275 to win the AFC West, and then I think 18-1 odds was the Super Bowl odds for them. So I think they actually are opened up worse.
Yeah, I think also, and now that we're talking it out, this might be a team where if I want to get invest in kind of what like the postseason looks like for them, maybe I let them get through that tough first half. But then you also risk, do they end up going like 4-1? And then we're not looking at the numbers that I think that we might end up getting. So you just have to play your cards right as far as what their postseason looks like. But I think to anticipate this team having a massive not I won't say I don't think anyone's assuming they're going to have a massive regression, but I don't know that we're going to get a step back the way maybe some people are assuming they will take.
Yeah, I think people are hyper focused on the one win games, one possession, the one score games, and they're just saying there's no way, right? That we saw the Chiefs do it a few years ago. I think when they went to the Super Bowl, and then they regressed from there, where it was just they ran hot. I think that was the year that they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl and lost. So that's really I think what people are pointing to, and they're kind of hedging their bets on. Interestingly enough, Denver does open the season against the Chiefs. So that will be a test, of course, but also they're home. So Denver has a chance to, maybe Mahomes is a little rusty, or maybe this team is a little rusty coming in because, they're kind of switching it up. I expect Mahomes to be more under center this year. And Denver could steal a win, which is going to be a pretty important game. And then Denver gets their next matchup at home versus Kansas City. So I actually like that Denver got KC on the road to open up the year, especially if you think that Mahomes has a chance to open up a little slow. And I would put money on it that if Denver wins that game, those lines that we're talking about, where you're like, man, maybe we wait a couple weeks. I would think if Denver wins that and takes an important game like that, that the lines will shift a good bit,
For sure.
especially to win the division.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other like team bets that you like for the Denver Broncos?
Not necessarily. We talked about it a little bit before. I'm waiting to see some of the player props for season long start to open up. Nick Bonitto is a guy that I'm probably gonna definitely take a look at to see what he's at because
You're gonna
last
steal
year
my bet.
was it Nick Bonitto for you? Well, I don't want to.
Go
I mean,
ahead.
if no, if you got something on, then go for it.
Yeah, I actually did find a couple. I found Waddle's lines before we talk about
Okay.
Bonito here. I want to run them by you. So receiving yards, regular season receiving yards. One book is sitting at 875.5. The other one's at 899.5. So obviously shop around for this. The over for the 875.5 is sitting at minus 120. Thoughts on the 875.5?
Yeah, I mean, this is really a bet on him being healthy. If he's healthy, he's going to easily
Mhm.
pass that number.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
so I mean, I'm betting on it. So here's one interesting thing about Waddle that I wanted to mention, but I forgot to. And I was
Yeah,
talking with Adam Hutchison from Football Guys, who's there. He's like their physical therapist guy.
fantastic.
Yeah, great guy. And we talked about Waddle, and he made a good point. He said, Waddle's kind of gotten a tough end of the stick because if you look at how many games he's missed, he hasn't missed a ton in his career. It's just that the point in which he's left games has always been early. So there's just been this stigma and this thought around him of like, this guy's injury prone. But when you look at the time missed for him compared to, other players, it's not really that much. It's just when he goes down, it's just been at really poor time. So I would say 875. If you believe that he'll stay healthy, that's a pretty easy bet for me. You're solely just betting on him being healthy.
Yeah. The touchdowns are interesting. They're sitting at 5.5 here. The over is -105. So you're almost getting even money there.
Yeah, 5.5 is good too. So what does Sutton have a line for his touchdowns?
Just about to pull it up. He is. They must have just updated. We were just talking about this behind backstage, and now I'm seeing lines. So I don't know if it's just not available for me in New York or what when I'm looking. So I'm seeing Sutton's regular season receiving yards. I'm actually happy we're doing this in real time because I don't know that anyone's seen maybe some of these lines yet. But 699.5 for Sutton is the receiving yards line, and then his touchdowns are sitting at 6.5. What are we thinking? I mean, that seems low. No? Am I crazy?
Yeah,
that seems so low.
Sutton has gone over. He's gone over that line from a touchdown standpoint the last 3 years in a row, 10, 8, and 7. The books are also kind of telling you that they don't know how to price Waddle because he's at 5.5. You would think, the way the odds are for Sutton, you would sit there and think like they believe, Waddle is going to take away from his touchdown, odds. But then we're looking at Waddle's line and it's only 5.5. Mm-hmm. So it's like neither guy is very high, and both of these guys cleared this number last year. So, I mean, even Waddle cleared the touchdown and the yards last year. I think yards wise, he had 900. So,
and then we also have Dobbins sitting here. Like his rushing touchdowns is sitting at 5.5. The overs, plus 105, plus 135. Shop around. You guys know the deal. And then his rushing yards, 674.5. But it almost feels like Vegas just really, they don't know who to give the touchdowns to right now.
Well, so I probably should have had this up while we were talking. I did an entire team by team, breakdown for, every single team, their pass rate and everything. So I have Denver's lines here for what I have each player projected. So I'm going to pull it up really quick to see what I have.
Yeah, for sure.
For both of these guys. So for wide receivers and running backs, so for Courtland Sutton, I had Sutton sitting at, where is he? 6.9 touchdowns. So what'd you say his line was at? 6.5?
6.5. Yeah. Let's see it. Let me pull it right back up. Sitting at 6.5. You're getting like even money there on the over.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say Sutton's a good bet. I mean, I have him going over that. And then for Waddle, I have him at 5.4 touchdowns this year.
So right on that.
Yeah, and this is just solely based on what I typically do is I take Vegas. It's part of my modeling, but I'll take Vegas's over-unders for each game for Denver, and then I'll work in the touchdowns, some field goals here and there, just from an odds standpoint, and then I'll spit out like a total touchdowns for the year for the team. And for Denver alone, I had them scoring 44 offensive touchdowns. So when you start doing the pie and you start doing the math, who gets what, how many touchdowns here and there, it makes a little sense for Waddle to be at 5.4, but for receiving yards for Waddle, I have him blowing it out of the water. I have him at 1,281 receiving yards, which assumes he plays 17 games. But I am high on Waddle. And again, this is assuming he stays healthy. So again, as I said, it's a bet on will he stay healthy. J.K. Dobbins, by the way, you said his line was 5.5. I have him at 6.4, but that probably needs to be adjusted slightly because I do think Jonah Coleman might get one or two of those. And I only had Coleman for like half a touchdown this year. So I would say I'd probably stay away from Dobbins.
And do we think that Harvey could also eat into some of the goal line stuff?
Yeah, so from Harvey, I have at 5.2 rushing touchdowns. Maybe Harvey loses a touchdown in this case, and Dobbins, and those go to Coleman. So maybe Coleman's at 2.5. Harvey's at really like
Yeah.
4.5, and then you have Dobbins at 5.5. But I have Dobbins. I mean, I have Harvey totaling out at 10 touchdowns this year just because I have him catching 5. Which we saw him used a lot in the red zone last year. So I think it's certainly
Yeah.
a possibility.
Speaking about Nick Bonitto and Mr. Zach Allen, I like both of them to go over their sacks. So, you guys can decide what you want to do with that. I think the Denver's defense, like no matter what, just is going to create an obscene amount of sack opportunities. We saw the two of them combine for like 164 pressures between the regular season
Right.
and the playoffs there. I sprinkled a while ago. You can't get this number, but I'm gonna give it out regardless. I think you can find 15-1 if you shop around. Definitely a 14-1 out there. But for him to lead the league in sacks at 18-1, I think that we've just continuously watched him get better and better. We saw his sack production. Did he have a wrist injury or something right last year? Did I make that up?
No,
It's
I
like
think
2
he
years
did. Yeah, I think he did. He did have a wrist injury, I
on
believe.
it. Yeah, but I think we saw like a little bit of sack production, maybe like slowed down from what we saw a lot of the season. So I think after that surgery, I think that this team is going to continue to just be an elite pass rush, have the efficiency there. I like him to go over the 11 3/4 at plus 110.
Yeah, that's not a bad call out. And I was looking at Bonitto when he did get paid, by the way. I mean, he's now uh a top 10 guy right now in terms of total money allocated. 14 sacks, like you said, last year. There's, like I said, there's some possibility of regression with John Franklin Myers being
Sure.
gone. How does that affect him and him pulling attention? I'm trying to look for the stat, but I think Nick Bonitto is in like the top 5 or top 10 in total sacks over like the last 2 seasons, if you look at it. And I think overall, I'm trying to look. I think he's been over double digit sacks in like the last 2-3 seasons each year.
He's put up
No, I'm sorry.
consecutive. Yeah.
Yeah, he had 13 and a half in 2024
Yeah.
and 14 last year, which is kind of crazy. He's only been in the league for what, 2 years? I'm sorry. No, no, no.
Right. Right.
No,
Well,
no,
he's
no,
been
no,
in,
no, no.
yeah.
4 years.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I thought that was wrong, and I should have realized because he got extended and he wouldn't have been able to get extended if he wasn't. But
Sure.
still, he barely played in 2022. He wasn't a starter until 2024, but even in 2023, when he wasn't a starter, he started 4 games. That's it. He had 8 sacks. So 8 sacks,
It's
13 and a half.
ridiculous.
So, I mean, this is a guy that's had 35 and a half sacks over the last 3 seasons. I mean, that's got to be up there. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's up in the top 5, top 10,
For sure.
the NFL. So I definitely don't mind. You said that's 18-1.
For him to lead the league, it's saying like 15-1. I see Bet Rivers still hanging that number there. I think 14-1. Not everyone has that line out yet. So again, obviously shop around. But I think the Broncos have led the league, I think, the last 2 years in sacks. I know they did last year. I might be mistaken on that. But like, I think this is a nice way to bet on the defense without maybe taking them to lead the league in sacks. Because I could see that regress, but maybe we still see Bonitto be like him getting 12 sacks. I'd be surprised if he doesn't hit that like 13 at least number.
Yeah, I wish there was a line for turnovers because Denver's takeaways last year, they only had 13, and I definitely don't expect that to stay the same. I mean, that was like pretty low into the total of the NFL. I think that was like bottom 5, bottom 10. So I would expect that to change, but I some of it's hard because a lot of the prediction markets talk about Profit X, talk about Kalshi. A lot of these prediction markets have different markets that you'd be very surprised. So it's possible that's some sort of market out there. And so maybe something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah. I like Zach Allen's number as well. It's they pulled it down, put it back up at 7.5. I think he's been like, he really has, like last season, especially, like he was one of the most productive interior pass rushers in the league. I think, Bonitto gets his flowers and maybe he gets overlooked quite a bit. We know that like opportunities for there to be one-on-one chances for guys like Zach Allen. I like either of these guys to go over. Like I like the 7.5. I think Zach Allen can get to the 8. I'd prefer it at 6.5, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna invest in this defense in whatever way I really can.
Well, I assume the over on that's probably plus money though, right?
It
For the
is.
7.5. Yeah. If
Mhm.
it was minus money and it was juiced on the over, I wouldn't take it. Just
Mhm.
because looking at what he's done historically, he's only
Sure.
he's gone over 7.5 once, but it was in Denver
Yeah.
and it was 2024. And last year
Mhm.
he was also an all pro. So he's only getting better. I could absolutely see him, but I mean at plus money, I mean it's probably what plus 140, 125, something like
Yeah,
that.
it's something like that. Let me see where it's at. Yeah, plus 135.
Okay. Yeah, that would be something I again probably wouldn't put a full unit on it, but definitely
No,
something I
it's a
wouldn't
little
mind
spring. Yeah,
doing.
for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else you want the people to know about the Denver Broncos? Where do you have them like is this a 12-win team? Do you see them going back? Is this a Super Bowl contender? Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, Denver went 14-3 last year. I don't expect them to do that again. I expect somewhere around 11 wins. We talked about that win total being at 9.5. I'd say 10 to 11 wins is probably what I'm expecting. Again, same unit, same team. It's tough with Denver because this is such a deep roster. There's not a lot of sleepers on the team because there's not a lot of openings for guys to get a lot of playing time because this is just a really strong team. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, but I don't really have any hot take for you right now.
I
So
love it.
I wish I did, but
I think boring is good. I like that.
yeah,
Like I think
I think
it's a good thing to not have a lot to say about a team that played as well as they did going into the next season.
yeah, I mean, we did have a lot to say. We're at 41 minutes, so we definitely filled it
We
up
are.
pretty well, and we give some good
Yeah.
information. But I think most of what we're sharing doesn't feel hot because it just feels like totally possible. Like we talked about the betting
Yeah.
lines for the players and their totals.
Sure.
All of it sounds unless there's some crazy injuries to, key players, this team should easily be back in the playoffs. And like I said, that's probably my favorite bet to make at minus 140. I don't mind paying the juice on that. I think it's
I'm
a
with you
really
as well.
so
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Tell people where they can find your work. Be sure to like, rate, review my podcast that you're listening to now. Go check out all the team previews, and I'll let you tell everyone where they can find you. And then I'll have to get you on soon because the people love when we chat back and forth.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's always a good time to come on and appreciate your producer Ryan as well. He does a good job at syncing everything up. But
Mhm.
you can find me at Supernova38 with 2 R's on Twitter. And then you can find me on Substack too. You can obviously find me at PlayerProfiler. That's my main, where I'm doing
Mhm.
most of my content, but Substack as well. I'm building some stuff over there. It's a really cool site. Ton of actionable information, and a lot of my deep dives for my data and analytics are going to be there. So you can get there. You can subscribe for free. You can also pay. I think it's like $8 a month or something like that. You can pay as well. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. So follow me over there as well.
I love it. All right, well, get out of here, guys.
Becky's Small Show, sports gambling. Play some bets on winners and catastrophe. If you want to know where to put the money, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday is the place to be.